she wanted him to pray for her, and he was like, no. And she was heartbroken. And I was like, this is the one thing that you've got is your mind. And this is what separates you from everything else on this earth. We have mind and speech. This is where I believe the law of liberty, or Neville Goddard's version of the law of assumption, in which everybody is now making this whole thing like it's a whole new thing. My life is to share. My life is to share. Okay. I just did a whole 11 minutes of just talking. And I didn't record it. Okay. For me, it's just reaching my highest potential and making the life I dream of having. And you can do that. And the principles, Shanika, I can tell you, but I was trying to unmute Paul. And Paul, if you have the question, you can unmute yourself, or just put it inside of the chat. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, now I got it. Yep, I got you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Gigi, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, since you're here, and if it's Easter, I guess we're getting the gift to get to know these 7 principles. It is a little more helpful that I'm in this Zoom right now, and I have my motivation set, and I have this class, and other people are in it too, so it'll help me be a little more integrated with this process, and to know what these principles are, but to be engaged really is what I meant, to have them written out in front of me, and then I'm sure you could explain them a little better and easier than me having to read through some pages, so.
Okay. So I'll tell you that I can explain these to you, but I highly encourage that if you are not a person that likes to read, that you start to look into it, because then if you really have this need to improve and change your life, I'm telling you, I'm telling you the stuff that you need to hear, but when you start receiving the information when you're reading it, it just kind of hits different, because it's beneficial for you to try to read some of these books, okay? And it's going to be difficult at first. You're going to fall asleep. Trust me, whenever I start reading books that are like really spiritually like heavy, I can't get past the first paragraph without falling asleep. And at first I thought it was just, I'm tired or whatever. No, I think it's more along the lines of, it's just the information is just too much. And then I start doing it again and again. And eventually, as I get more into the book, I don't fall asleep. I'm glued. But it happens every time with a new book. So I understand that you are trying to change stuff in your life. I would encourage you to do these things. But the principles that that I would be talking about are the 7 principles, which is, thank you, Kathy. She put inside of the chat room. I actually have Instagram, and it has them all in there, and also on my website has some of that stuff on there. But they're mentalism, correspondence, polarity, vibration, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. I would think that, well, with the Buddhists, when I hear them talking about their guiding stories or whatever, it's usually talking about mentalism. Yes, I agree. When you read, you can process them at your own speed and understanding. Yeah. So yes, but mentalism is doused in Hinduism and Buddhism, and it's very important, because the one thing that you've got is your mind, and this is what separates you from everything else on this earth. We have mind and speech. Like I went to an octopus farm before, and they are very smart. You can see something's going on in those eyes. You're like, what are you thinking? But they're not able to talk to you. They have machinations in their brains of stealing something. You could see it. But they don't have what we've got. So this stuff with the mind is what creates everything. And created everything before you, and actually you. So when that happens, when you start to recognize that the mind is the creating thing, you start to be careful about what you're thinking about. But because we have like unruly minds, like children, like if you think in this moment, probably me talking, something had gone through your mind, maybe a doubt, maybe, I don't know, something, but that is you creating and creating things that you don't want. Um, Not recognizing that that's what you're doing. So this is why they talk constantly about your mental or using your brain or being aware, because your awareness is everything. Whenever I know that there's people that are atheists. I remember I have never really spoken like in depth with an atheist, although I would definitely love to. But I spoke to one and he recognized like this energy. He's like, yeah, I can recognize energy because his wife was a Catholic and she wanted him to pray for she wanted him to pray for her, and he was like, no. And she was heartbroken. And I was like, this, I don't even know. I thought that was hilarious to me because it's just like, okay, well, I don't know. When people have those type of things, only because of what I understand about, these principles. Um, Sometimes the pomp and circumstance, we're about to have Easter, when you recognize that Easter is actually every day, not just this one time of year, and how it relates to, spring and everything, it's just you start to recognize that people really don't know what's happening, and it gets a little funny. But hold up, what are you doing? Two of them, give me two. If you can't do two, that means you should just pass it on to the next person so they can be the other one for you, and then they can do the same, so you can have no insult to anybody, because it is a very important. You really want to be resurrected every day. You want to be able to have a different mindset. So knowing the principles of mentalism, that will help you stay right on top. Then there's correspondence, how everything kind of responds to your inner world responds and reflects out to your outer world, and it bounces back. So you have things happen to you, like you feel sad, then you can't constantly have sad things happening in your life. So people like, that doesn't make sense. I feel sad. I don't always have constant like sad things happening in my life. Yes, you're right. But you don't know what a person who identifies as sad is really thinking all the time. You may be something different. So you're encountering different things inside of your life because of how you're feeling inside. Those emotions will reflect back and then keep coming back around and around. This is why you have to use your mind. If you don't want to be sad and have sad things happening to you all the time, you have to change the way that you think. And goes into going into polarity. Now, all these laws, they are not one and standing by themselves. They are all together working at the same time. And you just living your life is you utilizing these laws. Okay. So when you go into corresponding, like I said, sad person who's actually really sad has a lot of sad things happen in their life, and they are justified to feel this way. But you have to understand that there's a pole that you're dealing with, sadness and happiness, and you're on the side of the pole of sadness, and your thoughts create reality. This is why you must have your mind on understanding your mentalism is your awareness and all that sort of stuff. So you jump from one, and I sound like I'm like going crazy, like this banter, but I'm trying to process to you how these laws are working constantly, even in the most dire of situations. So you go from the sadness to the happiness inside of your mind, and it is not an easy feat, because if you're really sad, you're really sad and you really identify with that. But if you really understand how your thoughts are really creating reality, you will do what it takes to get yourself to the other side of the pole. This is where I believe the law of liberty, or Neville Goddard's version of the law of assumption, in which everybody is now making this whole thing like it's a whole new thing, but it's the same thing. These things are based off of all the stuff I'm talking about. Okay, so then you go from one end of the pole to the happy end of the pole. At that time, simultaneously, vibration is affected. Okay, sometimes people think, raise your vibration, and it's like, how? What do I do? They don't tell you because they're making it, they don't know, and they are making it seem like it's just this thing you like you're gonna have a drink of what raised vibration, and then it's gonna be like, oh, here it is, I've raised my vibration. It's a process. And it all goes again with mentalism. So then at the same time, rhythm and vibration are together. So that rhythm is something that you're doing on a daily basis. The sun is rising, you're getting up, you have your coffee, you do blah, 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 blah. You go throughout your day. That's a part of rhythm. Your breathing, that's a part of rhythm. Your heartbeat, these are all a part of rhythm. And the rhythm and vibration are connected because guaranteed, if you do something where, say, your raising of your vibration is dancing, that's definitely connected with rhythm. And at the same time, your heartbeat's gonna get your rhythm is changing. It's you raising your vibration physically. There's so many different ways. It's not just one. Cause and effect. So you are the cause of everything, and good or bad, that is something that comes from you, and you have the ability to adjust it. If you think, oh my God, I can't believe you said I caused this horrible thing to happen to me, that is so wrong. If you want to do that, go ahead. But as I said before, that sadness will correspond, and that victim thing will make you a victim over and over and over again. And you have to take the bull by the horns and become extremely aware of what's happening. And don't put blame on yourself. You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to put yourself in a really bad situation. You don't want to do that. I have to explain that one a bit better. But on to the gender. Gender is everything and everywhere, and it's not the stuff that you see on TV right now. It is your subconscious and your conscious mind. That's masculine and feminine. That's within you. And nothing can manifest without the masculine and feminine. It cannot. And this has nothing to do with anybody's identity of whatever they identify with or whoever, none of that. Because even in those dynamics, there's a masculine and feminine. It's just, you can't escape it. So, yeah, those are the principles in a little, like, whatchamacall, a little breakdown of it. I got a new message. Hold on. Oh, okay. Okay, so Paul is saying something. I believe in determinism. It can be best explained by that everything affects everything else. Yeah, that's cause and effect. Yes, that's cause and effect.